September 7th.
Key to American democracy is the notion of one person, one vote. But what if that person can't make it to the polls because he or she is dead? Apparently death won't stop some from being buried on one state's voter database. Mary Snow is here in New York in the Situation Room to tell us what's going on. What is going on?
Well, perhaps it's fitting on Halloween that we're talking about ghost voting. And it's not a new election worry. What is new, though, is a voter database here in New York. The state has lagged behind the rest of the country, and its voter registration list is coming under the microscope.
It's a suspicion that's haunted elections past, but could the names of dead people potentially be used in present elections? That's a question posed by the Poughkeepsie Journal of New York. It did its own analysis of the state's new database of 11 million plus registered voters.
We found that in New York State, in its voter registration database, there were as many as 77,000 people who were deceased but were still registered to vote.
Reporter John Farrow says, make no mistake, the analysis is not an exact science, and he says he did not find any fraud, but says his investigation points to the possibility of it.
Our report quantifies, if you will, or gives an estimate for the first time of the potential for fraud involving deceased registered voters in this brand new database.
That database is only 3 months old. A spokesman for the Board of Elections was unable to appear on camera for an interview, but told us that he was concerned by the paper's results. He added that the board will complete its own analysis by May of 2007. Doug Chapin of the nonpartisan group electionline.org says he's not all that surprised by the findings.
It's worth looking carefully at, but I don't think all 77,000 of those people are going to rise from the dead and descend on the polls on Election Day.
Chapin says suspicions about dead people voting are nothing new and swirled in Chicago following the election of John F. Kennedy. Chapin says more often than not, it's more fiction than fact.
You hear stories about perhaps in the 1960 election whether or not there were some dead voters who turned out to vote on Election Day. Rarely proven, often repeated.
And it's being repeated again in an election year with so many tight races where everything is coming under scrutiny. To illustrate the point that every vote counts, analysts look to the 2004 governor's race in Washington state that had 2 recounts. Democrat Christine Gregoire was ultimately named the winner with a 133-vote victory.
Now, the voting expert we spoke with says it can take anywhere from a few months to a few years to remove the name of someone who died from voting registration lists, stressing the importance of modernized voting systems to update those lists. Well,
Mary, what a story. Thanks very much. Mary Snow reporting here. When